Waskel. I'm a fourth-year medical student at Western University of Health Sciences.
And I'm Edie, and I'm also a fourth-year medical student at Western University of Health Sciences. And we've been together for 3.5 years.
So we met when I was finishing up my first year. I was starting second year, and I was an anatomy TA for intensive summer anatomy course, and Ed ended up being in the class.
Yeah, I remember getting questions wrong on purpose and kind of pretending to not know answers just so she would come over to the table and I can chat with her. And sometimes we didn't end up talking about anatomy, but that's kind of how we met. So we literally fell in love over a cadaver.
Yeah.
So.
Not the most romantic.
Or the most romantic, depends on how you look at it.
My favorite memory actually was when we were first dating. Ed decided for us to take a trip to San Francisco, and he planned everything. He really wanted to show off and go over the top, and I think my favorite part was when he brought a ukulele and he serenaded me while we had a picnic, and he won me over.
My dad passed away recently, and the favorite memory from that has been just her support. You know, she spent so many nights over just kind of celebrating with my family for my dad's life and just being there for us. So favorite memories, there's a ton, but the ones that stand out to me are the ones that are the most important, and that's one of the most important ones.
I realized I wanted to go into medicine when I was about 15, 16 years old. My first job was being a lifeguard, and where I worked, we didn't just answer calls at the pool, we answered calls at the field, tennis courts, inside the gym, and he was found down on the tennis courts and profusely vomiting, disoriented. I highly encouraged him and finally got him to go by ambulance to the hospital, but later I found out he didn't make it, and it did not make sense to me. My 16-year-old mind could not wrap around what happened, and I think ultimately, looking back, that's what led me towards medicine. I wanted to be able to have that medical knowledge base. I wanted to be able to adapt and act quickly to be able to help people in those situations.
What made me want to go into medicine? It all started off with my dad. My dad got sick when I was young, and as a 10-year-old kid, we were literally spending weekends in the hospital. So I kind of grew up around ICU monitors and stuff like that. But as a result of that, we grew up really poor, and we grew up really, home and food insecure. And so for me, I wanted to incorporate my life experiences with my passion for serving others, and medicine seemed to be the best fit. And so now I'm on this path to becoming a physician that cares for the underserved and marginalized people of my community, because I came from that community, and it's all stemming from my experiences with my dad and with my upbringing.
I chose to become a DO, take the osteopathic route, because one of the pillars actually is the connection between mind, body, and spirit, and I have grown up and incorporated that into my life. I take care of my body, I take care of my mental health, I'm strong in my faith, and so it just made sense to me to follow that even in the way that I choose my career. And once I actually entered medical school and was in leadership and in the osteopathic leadership, I really did see the community base that's in there and how much they care not only for their physicians, but their future physicians, their osteopathic medical students too.
For me, when I was applying to medical school, I had both options, and to me, it didn't matter which way I went. I just wanted to find a good fit for myself and kind of the path that would take me to where I wanted to be. And when I really got down to it, I identified more with the DO route, and it was a way for me to stay close to home. It was a way for me to give back to the community that I grew up in, and so ultimately that's what I chose, and I love it. What does it take to get through medical school? It takes a village. I think it takes a village. The individual medical student going through medical school on their own, to me, that's not enough sometimes, because there are days where you just feel like you can't go on, and it takes a village of support in order for someone to make it through. And I can personally attest to that. I have Edie, But I also have my family, I have my friends, and if I didn't have that support group, I don't think I could have made it through medical school.
I would agree. What it takes for me to get through medical school is that support group, both inside medical school but also outside. So I would call up my sister or try to visit with her and talk to her about everything that I was trying to balance, the overwhelming pressure of trying to get through studies and trying to see patients. But if someone's outside of medical school, they don't always realize exactly what's going on. They can't empathize with you. So it is really good to have someone who is going through it with you, who absolutely understands what you're going through. And even in our different parts of medical school experiences, we had other friends that we could rely on too. So we weren't always just overwhelming each other or always coming to each other with our issues, but we were able to help build each other up and work with friends to also get through those tough times. The match process is kind of overwhelming, and being a couple going through it, it kind of feels like you're walking on the edge and not really knowing where your next step is. I would say we were able to apply into the match. We click the little box that says couples match, and so when you're going through interviews, they know that, and it's something you can freely talk about while you're on your interviews. A lot of times it's welcomed, and we like to support each other during those interviews, but my goodness, there's a lot of combinations on where we can go.
Yeah, so if you think about it in layers of difficulty, in my opinion, here's matching into a medical specialty. Here's couples matching. It adds an extra layer of intricacy. And then if you're couples matching into the same specialty like we are, it's like infinitely harder. And so the match process for a couple is challenging and it's scary, but it's also very exciting because we don't have to compromise on what we love and what our passions are in medicine, and we can work together and go through it together because we both know how it's like to go through the process. Mm-hmm. The top do's and top don'ts of couples matching. My do is do communicate. I think it's very important to be open and honest with your partner about what your wants are. What is it that you want in your career? What is it that will make you happy? Where do you want to live? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because you want to be honest with your partner because you want your partner to be honest with you as well. And that way you can compromise. So when you are kind of picking out places to interview at, creating that rank list of where you want to go, compromises can be made so that you guys can both be happy. And I think another do for couples matching is do be organized, because you got to think about the fact that you're one person applying to all these programs and your partner is another person applying to all these programs, and you have all these combinations that you can make, and it can get very overwhelming very fast. And so I think even having a rudimentary Excel spreadsheet or something like that keeps you organized, it keeps you focused, and it keeps you ready and prepared to kind of tackle the match process. My don't for couples matching is to don't keep quiet about the place that you want to go to. I think if you want to go somewhere and perhaps your partner maybe does not, I think it's important to kind of explain to your partner why you want to go there and what is it about this program that makes you happy. And it kind of builds into the do, which is to communicate.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Do communicate, do be open, do be honest. Do not let the other one do all the work. I have to highlight Ed. He did a great job of taking hold of the Excel spreadsheets and researching programs, and it gave me room to also help in other ways, like with the summaries at the end, coming back and being able to review at the end what we both felt at certain programs. So it's a lot of compromise, playing to each other's strengths, helping each other in weaknesses, and yeah, it's a good prep for what residency years will be like.
Where we hope to end up is just, honestly, all our programs that we ranked are amazing.
They're great.
And we would be happy at any of them. And at the end of the day, wherever we go, we'd be happy for sure.
We'll be together. We'll figure it out. Yeah.
And honestly, I love California. I love Southern California. Southern California will always be home. But if I've never have to sit in 405 traffic ever again at 3 p.m., I would be okay with it. But honestly, there are amazing programs all over the U.S. and it's going to be amazing to train emergency medicine no matter where we go. So we're impartial wherever the wind takes us. Yeah.
We're trusting it.
Advice for students kind of applying to medical school and going that DO route. I think something that I would tell you is that it's a great career field. It's a great process and road towards getting that physician's degree. And for me, another bit of advice that I would give to you is be ready. When I say be ready, I mean be ready for all the emotional and kind of mental gymnastics you're going to have to do as a medical student. But understand that at the end of all this, you are going to become a physician. And I don't think there's anything more rewarding than going through 4 years of rigorous medical education so that you can be a phenomenal physician and take care of your patients.
Future students who are applying to medical school, do not be afraid of applying the osteopathic route. It's a great community. It's a great family-oriented profession, and definitely have a support group when you get into there. Plug yourself in, find ways to volunteer that feeds into who you are and the purpose that you want out of your career and your life. That's the only way you're gonna be able to balance the stresses of medical school.
What am I most excited for in the future? Making money and getting a puppy.
Yes.
But in all seriousness, what am I looking forward to for the future? I think it's starting this journey of being a physician with Edie, and moving together to someplace new and starting a career that we've been chasing since we were kids, basically. We've been in school for a very long time. We've literally spent our 20s pursuing this career field. And I think what I'm looking forward to most is finally being able to call myself a physician, finally being able to be that patient advocate that I want to be, and finally living up to my own standards and kind of making my dad and mom proud.
I am so excited to actually be a physician. We have worked so hard for this. 2 EM residents living in a little apartment or little house with a puppy. It's what I want right now. I want a little bit simplified life so I can really focus on being a resident, really focus on the social aspect of medicine. That's something that we're both passionate about, social health disparities. And so, yeah, we're gonna dig in wherever we go.
And she would also like me to say that, like, we're gonna get engaged soon, so at some point. So, like, obviously that's something important to look forward to. We just don't know when yet, but
just that student loan debt. So,
but yeah, we're excited. We're really excited.